And so the Trilateral Commission, being directly under them, they represent the financial and technological institutions of the world, the most powerful being the Western European Community, United States, North America, U.S., Canada, Pacifically, and Japan. The three main democratic industrial areas of the world are the three sides of the Trilateral Commission, and the Commission's members are about 300 to 25 distinguished citizens with a variety of leadership responsibilities. That's the whole of the list. And from these three regions, when the first triume of the Trilateral Commission was launched in '73, the most immediate purpose was to draw together at a time of considerable friction among governments the highest level of unofficial group possible to work together at the common problems facing those three areas, and to keep these things secret. And so they're at a very, very high level with the most secrets, best kept secrets on Earth, and that has a lot to do with the space program, the colonies, Moon, Mars, all of that. It's said if you want to know details about that place, you talk to a Trilateral Commission member. He'll tell you all about it. He even knows how to get there, take you for trips, and all that stuff. So Europe and Japan, in particular, in America are signaled out because of the technology and money that's placed in those countries. The rise of Japan and progress of the European community over the past 20 years not only rivaled America, but it really surpassed it. Japan surpassing America in technology, and Europe surpassing America in economic flow. But America still holding strong because it holds the central bank and most of the money on the planet. And it also holds one of the most powerful military structures on Earth. It's just too bad that most of that military isn't seen in space. So the Council on Foreign Relations is right under them, and so when the Bilderbergs and the Trilateral Commission need things done under them, who do they turn to in terms of running the governments and controlling politicians like Barack and presidents and prime ministers? That would be the Council on Foreign Relations, and also their sister group in Europe, which is directly run by the Queen. And so the august body of wise men has effectively dominated the making of foreign policy by the United States government since before World War II. The CFR has included virtually every key national secretary and foreign policy advisor of this nation for the past 70 years. In government policy, the most visible expression of the establishment is the Council on Foreign Relations. In that respect, as just said, in its publication in Foreign Affairs, out of some 2,900 members, at least 500 are very powerful royal family members and very powerful politicians. Another 500 of them are from the centers of influence of education all over the world, the Ivy League schools of every single country, and the rest are influential in academia, the media, business, and finance in every single country, the military or government, generals, colonels, officers in every single military spectrum. And according to a man who had been a member for 15 years of the Council on Foreign Relations, his name was Rear Admiral Chester Ward, former Judge Advocate General of the Navy from 1956 to 1960. He revealed some pretty pricey information, I like to call it. So he says that the purpose of promoting disarmament and submergence of U.S. sovereignty and national independence into an all-powerful one-world government is the only objective revealed to about 95% of 1,551 members worldwide in the Council on Foreign Relations in 1975. There are two other ulterior purposes the CFR influence is being used to promote, but it is improbable that they are known to more than 75 members, or that these purposes ever have been identified in writing. He's talking about the alien agenda on that one. The goals of the establishment are somewhat strange, and we will discuss them in detail. At the central core is a belief in the superiority of their own skill that has been testified to form a world system in which enlightened monotheistic capitalism can bring all of the diverse currencies, banking systems, credit, manufacturing, and raw materials into one government supervised whole, policed of course by their own one world army. So who's the army? The United Nations. CFR membership is made up of present and past presidents, ambassadors, secretaries of state, Wall Street investors, international bankers, foundation executives, think tank executives, lobbyist lawyers, NATO and Pentagon military leaders, wealthy industrialists, CEOs, media owners and executives, university presidents and key professors, select senators and congressmen, Supreme Court justices, federal judges, and wealthy entrepreneurs. So if you wonder why these people can get away with so much, just use some wisdom on that. You know what I mean? These are the people that make your laws. So what are you going to do when they break them? You can't touch these people. And also, the CFR meetings are top secret, by the way, into which nothing is to be revealed. The top media people are at the CFR meetings, and you never see any of their meetings on the 9 o'clock news. You don't hear about any of this because their meetings are kept secret and not for the general public, which violates freedom of press in the United States. So the CFR cannot accomplish their goals without complacency of the mainstream news media. They need the media in check. They need the media to be their tool and not the other way around, which they absolutely control with an iron fist. They do this using psychological operations called PSYOPs. The Rad Corp is one of the chief users of this technique. This is clearly explained by the following a message. Not many people have heard of the Council on Foreign Relations or know how they operate. This is not an accident. The group has purposely maintained a low profile. The CFR is a branch of an international group of co-conspirators called the Round Table Group. This group has been controlling public opinion throughout the world for over 100 years. The Joint Chiefs of Staffs have defined psychological operations as those that include psychological warfare and in addition encompass those political, military, economic, and ideological actions planned and conducted to create in neutral or friendly foreign groups the emotions, attitudes, or behavior to support achievement of national objectives. Another proposal develops the concept of strategic psychological operations as aimed at influencing and shaping decision makers, power to govern or control their followers. The American people are among the groups being targeted and controlled. So that is the core group of the CFR, is to oversee and make sure that brainwashing in America stays in place over all of you. And so let's talk a little bit about Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones are like the knights of these Illuminati fronts. And so they are the men who basically control how information gets spread. It's very much said that when maybe a guy like myself or one of us goes too far, or somebody else, or maybe one of their own number decides to have a conscience, it's usually Skull and Bones that find all types of methods and other groups and other ways to get people killed. And so what we got to understand about the Skull and Bones, we got to look into a little of their history here. So in the early 1830s, a Yale student named William H. Russell, the future valedictorian of the class of 1833, traveled to Germany to study for a year. Russell came from an Illuminati wealthy family that ran one of America's most dispensable business organizations of the 19th century. Russell and his family owned an opium empire. They were drug runners. Russell would later become a member of the Connecticut State Legislature, a general in the Connecticut National Guard, and the founder of the Collegiate and Commercial Institute in New Haven, while his family sold drugs on a worldwide scale. While in Germany, Russell befriended the leader of an insidious German secret society that hauled the Death's Head as its logo. Russell soon became caught up in this German society death group, and itself a sinister secret society that hailed the Death's Head as its own god. This notorious 18th century society was an Illuminati front. When Russell returned to the United States, he found it an atmosphere so anti-Masonic that even his beloved Phi Beta Kappa, the Honor Society, had been unceremoniously stripped of its secrecy. So when Russell came to the United States, the United States on the front had a disband towards secret societies. But in Germany, they were very open with secret societies. So Russell encountered in America a lot of hypocrisy. And so I guess he found it to his disliking. But even though the occult is entrenched in the United States at that time, it's not something you openly talk about. So insist on all this, Russell rounded up a group of the most promising students in his class, including Alfonso Taft, the future Secretary of War, Attorney General, Minister to Austria, Ambassador to Russia, and yes, father of future President William Howard Taft, and out of vengeance constructed the most powerful secret society the United States has ever known.